Today is November the 14th. Today, we'll see Judah and Israel move from friends to enemies. Today, as we read through the Bible in a year, I'd like you to read 2 Kings chapter 12 to 14. Now, in chapter 12, we pick up the story in Judah where Joash is the new king. Now, if you remember, Joash was one of the children of Athaliah. Athaliah tried to kill all of her own children so that she could be the queen over all of Israel. But her sister hid away her youngest child, Joash, when he was 1 year old. He was raised in the temple until he was about 7, when the high priest brought him out, declared him king, and Athaliah was displaced. King Joash was a good king. Maybe because of his upbringing in the temple, he wants to repair the temple. The temple had fallen into apparently a state of disrepair. He is displeased when the repair of the temple delays. And near the middle of the chapter, he sets up some accountability measures. Scripture actually says that it was the treasurer of the temple, a priest, and a court official would count the money together. The money would be given directly to the workmen who then went about repairing the temple. And in that way, the Lord's temple was repaired in a short period of time. Now, at the end of chapter 12, it is King Hazael of Aram, or Syria, who attacks Gath and then turns his attention on Judah. King Joash bribes him. He takes all of the gold from the temple, all the gold from his own palace, sends it to him and says, if I give you this, please don't attack us. And he agrees. He doesn't attack. And Judah survives this attack. But apparently he incurred the wrath of some of his advisors. And 2 of them, they're actually named here, assassinate him. The 2 advisors, if you look into their background, they were apparently not from the tribe of Judah. They may have indeed been from some of the nations that he had previously attacked and conquered. Chapter 13, we flip to Israel. Jehoahaz rules. He is not a good guy. He dies, and his son Jehoash rules in Israel. Now, if you'll notice, Jehoash is an alternate spelling of the name of Joash, king of Judah. The king of Israel is named after the king of Judah. These were friends. It's not just in this case, but even before this time, they shared names of their children. Jehoash begins ruling in Judah, and he comes to Elisha, and he asks if Aram, or Syria, King Hazael, will defeat Samaria. Elisha hands him a bow and arrow, and he says, hit the ground with this. And King Jehoash hits the ground 3 times. Elisha says, you fool. If you had hit the ground 7 or 8 times, you would have totally defeated King Hazael. As it is, you hit the ground 3 times, you will have 3 victories over Hazael. Then Elisha dies. King Hazael does attack, and as he attacks, King Jehoahaz has 3 victories over him. So Hazael goes back to Syria, back to Damascus, and gives up the war. There he dies, and his son, whose name is Tiglath-Pileser, carries on the war and the efforts to conquer territory. Chapter 14, we flip back to Judah. Amaziah is now ruling in Judah. And Amaziah looks to the east and sees that Edom in the east has taken over several of the cities that Judah used to have there. And so he decides to fight against Edom. In verse 7, it simply says that King Amaziah killed 10,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt, and he took back those cities. Then the next verse says King Amaziah sent messengers with this challenge to Israel's King Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, grandson of Jehu. Come and meet me in battle. Now in 2 Kings, this comes out of the blue, but we get a fuller story in 2 Chronicles. In 2 Chronicles chapter 25, we have this story explained in a little bit more detail. Verse 5 tells us that when Amaziah organized for the fight against Edom, he took a census. He found that he had 300,000 troops. So he hired 100,000 Israelites to go with him. After he did that, a prophet came to Amaziah and said, don't take the Israelites to battle. If you take them, you'll be defeated. God will give you victory with your own army, with the 300,000 from Judah. Amaziah said, what about the gold that I paid them? The prophet said, who cares? God will give you much more than that in this victory. So Amaziah dismisses the army of Israel. Now, the army of Israel is angry because they'd been paid to go to battle, and now they've been dismissed just over the word of a prophet. In 2 Chronicles 25:13, the hired troops that Amaziah had sent home raided several of the towns of Judah between Samaria and Beth-horon. They killed 3,000 people and carried off great quantities of plunder. That is why Amaziah went to Jehoash and challenges him to war. Jehoash comes out to meet him, and Jehoash has the better of Amaziah. He defeats him, and he actually captures King Amaziah and carries him back to Samaria. He then goes on to Jerusalem, and he demolishes about 600 feet of Jerusalem's wall. King Amaziah, his son, reigned in his place, and his son's name was Uzziah. We'll see more about him tomorrow. King Amaziah escaped, but on the way home, before he could get to Jerusalem, assassins caught up to him and killed him. At the end of chapter 14, Jeroboam the second, son of Jehoash, began to rule. Now, he ruled for 41 years. He had a very, very long rule. It's interesting how quickly these two nations went from friendship to enemies meeting together in war and destroying each other. In your life, be careful with your friends. Don't turn them into enemies easily. It might not go well for you. Like, follow, and subscribe to this devotional on whatever platform you use to listen to it. Email your questions to us at questions@becomehope.com. Tomorrow, we'll see why it's so important to play the long game.